Every gaming fan has a list of games that they'd like to see return, either with a remake, a totally new installment, or maybe even a spin-off. So in today's video, I want to cover 15 games that I'd love to see come to Nintendo Switch 2 during its lifetime. Now, I want to make it clear that in this video, I'm trying to pick games that aren't a guarantee. As if my video was just discussing how I want a new Legend of Zelda, Super Smash Bros, or Animal Crossing, it would make for a pretty boring video, as let's be honest, those games are a given at this point. I've definitely included some games here that'll raise a few eyebrows, so stick around till the end of the video to see if you agree with my choices. But without further ado, let's get into the list. So, kicking off the list is I'd like to see Nintendo tackle a 3D Yoshi game on Switch 2. As a massive Yoshi fan, I'll be honest, when I seen the reveal for Kirby in the Forgotten Land, it made me think, oh wow, they've finally made the jump to 3D with Kirby. Maybe one day Yoshi will make the same jump as well. Personally, I think a 3D collectathon Yoshi game could be really fun, and his moveset could allow Nintendo to develop a 3D platformer that is different enough from 3D Mario to stand out on its own, like Donkey Kong with Bonanza. With the Yoshi games always seeming to have really stylized worlds, I believe they could also develop a game that is absolutely stunning visually. Imagine the Yoshi's Island track from the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass, but dialed up to 11. Given that the course was designed for Mario Kart Tour, if they could do something like that with the power of Nintendo Switch 2, the game would look absolutely stunning. Another series that I'd really like to see return is Kid Icarus. Whether that's a remake of Kid Icarus Uprising or a new entry, I personally believe the Switch 2 would be the perfect home for the series. Growing up, my Nintendo interests were Mario, Wii Sports and Super Smash Bros. So when I started expanding my horizons with games that Nintendo had to offer during the 3DS and Wii U era, Kid Icarus Uprising was one of the first games I tried, and honestly, I loved it. Everything about the game, from the dialogue, visuals and gameplay, were incredible, even if the controls were a bit strange. And I feel as though a modern take on the series that takes advantage of the Switch 2's features would be amazing. Imagine playing Kid Icarus on Nintendo Switch 2 with jaw-dropping graphics, an expanded online mode, and a more in-depth combat system. It could be one of the best games on the console in my opinion. If they could get Sakurai to develop the game, even better. But as long as it kept the charm from Uprising intact, then it'll be great either way. Okay, I'll admit it, I'm kinda cheating with this next one, as it counts as two separate games, but given the similarities, I thought I'd just bundle them together. Growing up, I absolutely loved Mario Hoops on the Nintendo DS, so when Mario Sports Mix was confirmed for the Wii, I was so excited, and honestly, I had a blast playing the game. The different sports were all so much fun, so a new installment that adds more characters, maybe a new sport potentially, and online play, would be so cool. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't the most in-depth game, but as a fan of the Mario sports games, it was a cool little addition to my Wii library. Now, when it comes to Mario Baseball, I came to it a bit later than most. Super Sluggers never released here in the UK, so I actually modded my Wii U around about a year ago to be region free, just so I could play it, and wow, it's incredible. So either a port of the Wii game, or a brand new installment would be so cool. If I'm being greedy, I'd love both, but either one would personally make me very happy. A series which caught me by surprise on the original Nintendo Switch was Famicom Detective Club. I'll be honest, when the remakes of The Missing Heir and The Girl Who Stands Behind were announced, I didn't care one bit. It wasn't until Nintendo first teased MEO online that I showed a bit of interest in the series. What was MEO was a question that sparked mass discussion online, and then shortly after, Nintendo pulled back the curtain on the game, showcasing the newest installment in the Famicom Detective Club series, and at this point, I was hooked. I very quickly bought the double pack of the first two on the eShop, and wow, they were incredible. Then I played MEO, and again, it was so good. So when I discovered that there was another game that launched on the Satellaview, I instantly wanted to see it come to the Switch. So I'd either want to see that game get remade, or a new installment in the series, as they offer a different experience to most Nintendo games, and present the player with a story that genuinely makes you think and speculate on the outcome. So I'm hopeful that the series will continue going forward. Now, I'll admit this next one is a bit of a rogue shout, but I did say I wanted to stray away from focusing on Nintendo's established series, and back on Nintendo 3DS, I loved the Pushmo games, or pull blocks as I knew it, I think it could make for a fun, smaller experience to play between bigger releases. Maybe they could add a multiplayer element to the game, kinda like snipper clips, where you and a friend could solve the puzzles together to help it stand out from the earlier games. This could be a fun little game to play either co-op or solo. They could even use mouse mode to simulate the action of pulling and pushing the platforms, although I would also want the standard controls to still be there as well, but it could be a fun option to incorporate mouse controls in another game. And for my next game in this dream lineup, I'm going to talk about 3D Mario. Now, yes, I understand, literally in the last game segment, I did point out that I'm not going to talk about Nintendo's most important franchises, but specifically for this next 3D Mario game, I would like it to be Super Mario Galaxy 3. Now, I grew up with the Galaxy games. They were my first 3D Mario platformers, as I was actually raised on Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon, so I missed out on playing Super Mario 64 and Sunshine as a young child, so the Galaxy games have a special place in my heart. Let's be honest though, they're also peak platforming games, so I, like many others, would also be really happy if we got a new Galaxy game. The originals still look amazing to this day, but imagine a new installment built for Switch 2. Now that would be insane. They could also take the series to new heights that weren't possible on the Wii. Personally, I'd love to see a return to the cinematic style of Galaxy 1, as the next 3D Mario should be a huge experience that's never been possible before, and I feel like the Galaxy series is the perfect fit for this. Maybe they could have multiple playable characters. What about 3D world style multiplayer? Albeit that last one would be a challenge to implement, but I would trust Nintendo to be able to figure it out. I just feel as though the Galaxy series has so much untapped potential which could still be uncovered. Considering that we already have Mario Kart World, I believe that a new Diddy Kong Racing would be a really interesting addition to the Switch 2 lineup, and something that would be able to stand on its own alongside Mario Kart as a great alternative for someone who's maybe wanting a different type of kart racer. They could have new hub worlds full of fun little challenges and areas to explore, while offering players amazing tracks that maybe feel more like classic race courses compared to Mario Kart Worlds, which feel more like areas of a larger world. Also, personally, as someone who grew up with Crash Nitro Kart, I'm a sucker for kart races which have a story mode, so that's something that could help stand it out from Mario Kart World as well. Plus, with a recent emphasis being placed on the Donkey Kong series, I feel like this is the most likely game that I've covered so far to actually potentially come to Nintendo Switch 2. Punch-Out is a series that I feel could really thrive on Switch 2 as well. After a long time without a new release, the series came back on the Wii, and honestly, that seemed like the perfect platform to build off of. Since then, Little Mac has also appeared in Super Smash Bros as well. So, honestly, I feel like a new installment could be really interesting. Again, like many of the games that I've covered so far, this would be a smaller release that could supplement Nintendo's flagship games. Maybe they could add a little spin on the series this time, and potentially have an older Mac that coaches you, or maybe even make him a rival who you're aiming to beat as you work your way up through the ranks. A new game could be a fun little experience for the console that could also help add even more diversity to the lineup. We're about halfway through the list now, so how are you finding it so far? Make sure you stick around to the end, as the final game is one that I think many people would be excited to see get announced. A game on Switch 1 that really caught me by surprise was Miitopia. It was such a fun, quirky little game, and after the recent success of Tomodachi Life, a new Miitopia game could be really good, especially if they add the custom dialogue from Tomodachi Life into the game. Imagine being able to make whoever you want, like friends and family, or even your favourite characters and celebrities, and get them to say little catchphrases as they run into battle, maybe unique little emotes when they defeat a monster, or even funny little conversations between missions. If they were to do this, I believe that they could attract a number of players who picked up Tomodachi Life just due to the funny antics of the maze, to give a new Miitopia a try. It also feels like the maze are having a bit of a resurgence, and taking advantage of this could be really good, and maybe even help set the series up for a long-term future. Now, let's be honest, it was coming eventually. As a Nintendo fan, I couldn't do a video like this without mentioning F-Zero. I think almost every Nintendo fan has this in their videos. I'll be honest, I don't have much history with the series, but from the bits I've played so far, the games are really good. I just suck at them, but they are really fun. This would be unlikely to be a game that would sell many systems, but instead, it could be a technical showcase for the console, offering incredible visuals, large intricate courses, and a fun story that gives solo players an incentive to learn more about the series. Who knows, Nintendo could work with the developers of the Fast series to help make this game a reality. And I mean, come on, poor Captain Falcon has been waiting long enough. It's time for a new game surely. Another series that has gone a while without a new installment, well, unless you count the mobile game that is Dr. Mario. And I think there's a really easy way to bring it back on Switch too. This would be for a Dr. Mario 99. You could put it on Nintendo Switch Online as a free game, like Tetris 99, and provide fans with a fun new twist on the series without having to introduce a crazy new gimmick to the game. This wouldn't be a massive release, but again, a fun little game that you could easily pick up and play from time to time. They could even make something like this available on both Switch 1 and Switch 2. Okay, now you will have to hear me out on this next one, but I'd love a new Hyrule Warriors. Now, I hear you saying, but we've just got an Age of Imprisonment. Well, yes, that is true, but I'd love a sequel to the original game. Personally, for the Warriors spin-offs, I actually prefer games like the original Hyrule and Fire Emblem Warriors, where they pull inspiration from across the series and offer a cool little story that somehow pulls all the different characters together into one world where they all have to interact. I find this really cool and would love to see it attempted again. Don't get me wrong, the Age of Calamity and Age of Imprisonment games are still really good, but I would like to see maybe a return to what we got with the original game. Another game that I absolutely loved growing up was Nintendo Land. Now, I do understand that it would be a challenge to bring this series back, given that the game's reliance on the Wii U gamepad. Maybe they could give players a new party game that has a similar vibe, which also happens to feature a theme park with multiple different attractions to play, like the original. This time, they could maybe design it around the Switch 2's features to help demonstrate its technical capabilities. Maybe they could even bring some of the original games back. The ones which required the Wii U gamepad, they could maybe be multiplayer exclusive. But I don't mean local multiplayer, I mean either online or if you do have multiple consoles, I suppose you could do local, but not on one TV. Those who played the game back on the Wii U will understand how fun some of those mini games were, so being able to have a similar experience again would be really cool. And honestly, I just want to play stuff like Mario Chase again, but I think doing that online could be a great way to preserve the original game's experience without changing it too much but making it accessible without a gamepad. As someone who loves games and also loves dogs, I really want a new Nintendogs game. Given the rise in popularity for cozy games in recent years, I feel like now would be the perfect time to revisit the series. Imagine being able to meet up with friends in a virtual dog park and see your puppies play together, compete in competitions either together or against each other, or even just go for walks with friends. It could be a really wholesome experience. They can maybe even add functionality to the Nintendo Switch mobile app, where you could take your dog on walks with you in real life. Imagine playing the game, and then you decide you want to go for a walk and be able to press something in the game that links to the app. And when you're back, you've unlocked little items like toys, or even just counts towards walking your dog, encouraging players to keep active. To me, this feels like the type of game which Nintendo likes to do from time to time, something which encourages players to get active while also having a fun gaming experience. For the final game of today's video, I'm going to discuss Super Mario RPG. I can't remember if this was actually a rumour or if I'm making it up, but I'm sure before the announcement of the remake of Super Mario RPG, there was a rumour doing the rounds that said a remake was coming with a sequel also in development at Square Enix. The original game is such a fun experience, offering something different to your standard Mario game, while also offering an RPG that is accessible to people like myself who haven't played many turn-based RPGs. A new installment that takes the foundations from the original and builds upon them to expand the world and deliver a true modern RPG experience would honestly be really interesting to see. And also, all the Geno fans would be excited to see him again. So, that's 15 games that I'd love to see come to Nintendo Switch 2 during the console's lifecycle. I've tried to suggest ideas that maybe aren't the default picks for new Nintendo games, and I totally understand that a lot of these ideas are very unrealistic. But hey, I can dream, right? Would you like to see any of these games come to Switch 2? Is there anything that I haven't covered that you would like to see come to the console? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, a like and a subscribe really helps the channel. So, that's it. Take care and happy gaming.